Why are Japanese 5-year-olds packing up bento boxes and cleaning up the classrooms while we are here, struggling at least even to have our children eat or even dress up? Okay, let's be honest. I have been there and I know you have been there. And it's not magic, it is not genetic. It is what they call mindful parenting. And as an early childhood long-time educator and coach, I had to dig deeper and figure out exactly what those parents are doing and what we can borrow without necessarily boarding up or plane to Tokyo. I wish I knew some of these things. It is so fascinating. Hi, my name is Margaret Jeroge. Stick around. I'll share some of the mindset shift we can borrow the same calm so we can have the same emotional climate in our space. Okay, now I'm not trying to compare cultures and say some cultures are better than others. I'm sure yours have also, and you can comment below and share actually what it is that you do. But as someone who has been with children from all over the world for many, many years, I've noticed something fascinating about this culture. They train their children the way you'd train for a marathon. Slowly, intentionally, and together and for a long time. So today, let's unpack some of those lessons that we can learn. So as I dug deeper, one of the things that I found, and I wish I knew this, is the power of the corrective language. Instead of saying, you clean up your toys, they say, let's clean up our space. So that subtle shift in the languaging changes everything. Try it, you let me know whether actually it works, because when kids feel that they are a part of the team, they naturally cooperate. At least I have done that, and this is why I'm bringing it to you. When the children feel managed or directed, there is nobody who likes that. But when they are made responsible and the part of the team, they always are able to rise up. Instead of saying, go ahead and clean up your toys, try, let's tidy this place before dinner. Let me know the difference. The other thing I know, I'm a greater advocate of explaining to children the why behind every rule. In Japan, parents don't rely on I said so, because most of the time children are trying to figure out why things are important because they may not know what is important. So we have to explain to them why we do things the way we do them. They connect the rules with the logic in a way that the children can be able to grasp that and in a way that they can be able to take action. For example, you can say, we take off our shoes at the door so that we don't track the mud in the places where we are sitting or playing. That is so simple. And yet most of the time I have had parents and they mean also well that I said so. First of all, they don't know. Of course you are the authority and they understand that, but they're looking to understand why we do things the way we do them. They don't know about germs, they don't know in the grand scheme of things what germs is. We are the people to tell them. So when we use this kind of approach, what it does, it gives the internal motivation. So the child knows the reason behind why they do things, and kids understand the reason more than the way they would understand the rules. So next time you tell them these are the rules, explain them why rules are there. This is something I have done. I allow them to know why, for example, we clean up the toys or why we put the toys where they're supposed to be. The next thing, and I know if you have followed me for a long time, you know this, is to model the behavior that you want to see. What these parents do, they don't do monologue. And this is a big one. These parents don't announce every single act of responsibility. You're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this. What they do, they act it out, demonstrate exactly what it is that they are looking for. For example, most of the time I have found myself over talking and under demonstrating. And I end up narrating chores like it is a podcast, and children don't necessarily care. In fact, they hear the first word and the last word. In between, they never heard anything. But when I do something that I expect them to see, they're more likely to mimic, they're more likely to repeat. For example, if you want them to be kind, just be kind. You don't have to be telling them I was kind. They are just seeing you being kind. Most of the time, we want the children to hear. But I have said it over and over again that children hear with their eyes. They are watching, and so they are more likely to repeat what it is that you're doing even as they push the boundaries. So kindness, respectful, taking care of your belongings, they are seeing, and therefore they start also taking care. That is why when you're putting the dishes in the dishwasher or you're putting the laundry in the laundry machine, of course they want to also help, and that is part of the modeling. The other thing I found to be very fascinating is everyone is on the team. Literally, you are all in the team. Toddlers start cleaning the tables, while the little older ones start organizing the shoes. They start early and they contribute early, and they are contributors to that small community they call the family. Or in school, they belong there, and so it becomes something normal and something to be expected, and it becomes routine. So children know when I eat, I clean up my mess because I'm a part of this team. This is something I tried. For example, when you give children the little tasks and you're not saying help me to do this, you tell them do this, you know they are responsible for doing that, they develop that confidence because they know they are contributing to the well-being of community. They don't feel like they are just helpers, because a helper is just a helper. But when they are made responsible for a little task, for example, if you ask a child to clean up the table, you don't go back and ask them the way they did it. They just continue practicing. You can of course clean up that table later, but at that moment it is their responsibility to make sure that the table is clean. So again, give meaningful tasks, not helping tasks, meaningful tasks. If it is maybe putting 3 or 4 cups in the dishwasher, just let them do that. It is meaningful work, live life experience work. You'll be amazed by how quickly the children say, I can. The other fascinating one is when the child throw a beautiful tantrum, because they will throw that beautiful tantrum, they fix the feelings first before they fix the thing. Feelings first, fixing the thing later. Why? Because when a child resists, to them, it is not necessarily that they're resisting or they're throwing that tantrum. Most of the time, they interpret it as skill that the child is missing. And so they meet it with empathy. They experience, you are frustrated. It is hard to stop playing when you're having fun. It is hard, right? You affirm the feeling, then you pivot quickly. My experience have been, children are not necessarily looking for the things that they're crying for. They're just looking for you to validate that feel that they really wanted that thing, but they don't have the capacity to inhibit their emotions the way we would. What would happen if we fix the feelings first, really affirming that feel? See how that shift can turn the conflict into a moment of connection. Because that is the key. That tantrum can be a moment of connecting with our child. If you're familiar with my videos and if you listen to this video, you will discover I talked about the natural consequences, the fearful parenting that is getting the steam these days. Instead of creating elaborate punishments or disciplinary actions, they attach the behavior with the natural consequences. For example, your child leaves the umbrella in the house, they'll get wet, right? They don't actually go to pick it up for them. Or you leave your snack, and I mean snack, you're gonna get hungry. Yes, it is not cruel, it is real life. Life teaches better than all the rules we will do and all the lectures that we will give. The question is, are you rescuing your children in places where they can be able to learn more and where they are meant to learn more lessons? When we allow children to have manageable consequences, we raise children who can think and solve problems. The other one is we praise the effort and not the outcome. They barely and rarely praise the win. All the praises goes to the child who is trying, not the child who wins, because you can win when a task is not challenging to you. And this is how they build the perseverance and not perfectionism. It is hard for us to do that because we see a child finishing the puzzle and you say, oh, I see you completed the whole puzzle. But we forget the process to get there. And when we focus more on the process, we are more likely to have children be able to be resilient and persevere and try again and regain the energy to do something that is proving hard to them. Effort praise, you and I know that it strengthens resilience, which is so important to building emotional strength. So next time when your child is doing something, let them know you saw how hard you tried to do that puzzle, instead of saying, I'm proud you finished. One of the biggest things I found was the quiet voice, the big power. They rarely yell. They set boundaries with calm authority, because you and I know that power doesn't come from volume. I have found myself sometimes throwing the words across the room, and I know for sure it doesn't work, because guess what the children do? They raise their volume also the way I'm raising mine. It comes from consistency. We become consistent with the boundaries that we have made with the calmness of authority. The children are more likely to follow, because let's face it, the reason why children keeps on pushing boundaries is because there is no firm boundary. If the boundary is firm, they will not be able to push it, because they are still trying to figure out how far can I go with this, because most of the time we change. We say something and we say, for this one, they can do this one. Children don't know that. They just think you're changing. And so guess what they will do? They'll figure out a way you have done things and whether you can change it. So practice few words. The importance of our tone and the body language when we are speaking. So words, yes, but fewer, because again, the child listens to the first word and to the last. But when we are precise, specific, and to the point, the children are more likely to get it. If we have to change, we've changed the language, but not the principle. So again, you and I don't need to move to Japan to learn some of these tricks. Tell me about your culture by commenting below. Tell me what works. I would like to learn, and I would like also to hear. Let's help each other on how to raise calm, resilient, capable kids who are confident. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next video.